Hello! This is a true story of the children of Birmingham, Alabama. Let the Children March by Monica Clark Robinson. "1963, Birmingham, Alabama. I couldn't play on the same playground as the white kids. I couldn't go to their schools. I couldn't drink from their water fountains. There were so many things I couldn't do." Colby. One warm spring night, my family went to church. We weren't there to have regular services. We were there to hear Dr. King speak. We were there to plan. Hi, Bear. He wanted to raise an army of peaceful protesters to fight for freedom. His brown eyes flashing fire and love, Dr. King told us the time had come to march. "If I march," Mama said, "I'll lose my job, sure enough." "I can't march," Daddy said. "I got a family to feed." Colby. The weight of the world rested on our parents' shoulders. But this burden, this time, did not have to be theirs to bear. "I don't have a boss to fear," my brother said, "or a job to lose." "We can march this time. We'll be Dr. King's army," I said. "I'll be fine, Daddy," I promised. "Don't worry, Mama." Dr. King didn't like children being put in harm's way. He was a daddy too, after all. But he said that though we were young, we were not too young to want our freedom. Let the children march. They will lead the way. On May 2nd, a sunny Thursday, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends, we all met at the church, dressed in our best, feet ready. In a silence so loud that all I could hear was my racing heart, we began to walk. Hand in hand we marched, so frightened, yet certain of what was right for freedom. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on. Would I be hurt? Would I be heard? Would it all be worth it in the end? I wanted to run from the angry faces in the crowd, run from danger, run from fear. Boys and girls, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends, on and on we marched, we marched, we marched. Singing the songs of freedom, 1,000 strong we came. Hate dogged my heels all that day, its yellowed canine teeth sharp, but courage walked by my side and kept me going. "Disperse or you'll be jailed," the police shouted the first day. "Disperse or you'll get wet," the police shouted the second day. "Disperse or we'll release the dogs," the police shouted the third day. We did not disperse. We kept on marching. We wouldn't stop until things started to change. Hundreds of us went to jail on the first day, and even more on the second. My turn wasn't until the third day. After I was sprayed by water stronger than anything I've ever felt, rough hands pushed me forward and I fell to my knees in the police wagon. I was going to jail. Dr. King reassured our parents. "Don't worry about your children," he said. "They're going to be all right. Don't hold them back if they want to go to jail, for they are doing a job for not only themselves, but for all of America and for all mankind." That night, crowded into a cell too small for even half of the kids, we sang, "We shall overcome, ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, and freedom is coming." Our parents couldn't be there with us, but still we sang, wrapped in the proud and loving arms of our ancestors. was still in jail, but we heard that the next day, and the next day, more kids marched. The water hoses they used to sting us could not stop our fierce tide. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on. Turn the other cheek, we had been taught. Show love where there is hate. The world watched as hate bruised us, but for 7 days we walked only in love. The jails swelled to bursting, and even President Kennedy took notice. Daddy said the president received letters and calls about us from all over the world. Our march would become a memory, a small part of a larger story. But we had been heard, and the seeds of revolution were sown. Two days and nights I stayed in the jail. Some stayed even longer. When I left, I was tired and sore, and my best dress was ripped. But my smile was as wide as the Mississippi River. I had made a difference. "I'm so proud of you, baby girl," Mama said. "Your march was what made them see." With nothing more than our feet, voices, and courage, we had done what others could not. Change was right around the corner. We felt it like a cold breeze in an Alabama August. On May 10th, the great news rang out. Dr. King had reached an agreement with the white leaders of the city. Desegregation would begin. One month later, I was playing on a playground I'd never been allowed to play on before. 2 months later, my family ate at a diner we'd never been allowed to eat in before. Our march made the difference. We children led the way. Singing the songs of freedom, 1,000 strong, we came. And there's an afterword from the author. The children and teens of Birmingham in 1963 changed the world in ways they could never have imagined. Dr. King later wrote, "Looking back, it is clear that the introduction of Birmingham's children into the campaign was one of the wiser moves we made. It brought a new impact to the crusade, and the impetus that we needed to win the struggle." President Kennedy went on television the evening of June 11th, just 1 month after the Children's Crusade, to call for civil rights legislation. He said, "Every American ought to have the right to be treated as he would wish to be treated, as one would wish his children to be treated." The following year, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and Dr. King won the Nobel Peace Prize. The children truly had made a difference. There are plenty of ways that you can make a difference too, through volunteering, writing elected officials, fundraising, starting a petition, and educating yourself. When asked what she thought the message of the Children's Crusade was for today's youth, Janice Kelsey, who was one of the young marchers, had this to say: "I want young people to know that each one has the ability to make a difference in their environment. You just have to have enough courage to evaluate the situation and stand up for what is right." Now, sometimes we read books like this and we think, that's amazing, they've solved it. And no, things were not solved. And even though desegregation began, the hatred that people felt towards Black people did not end. And they still struggled for years to come, and they are still struggling now. Which is why the things that you might be seeing and hearing from the news are still happening. It's why people are still marching, is because they're trying to bring awareness to something incredibly important. Sometimes we see pictures of Martin Luther King, and they're in black and white. But Civil Rights Act came about in 1964. If you had been 10 in that year, you would be 66 years old now. It was not that long ago. And so we need to make sure that we are still learning and we are still growing. I'm still learning and I'm still growing. But the more that we learn, the more that we can help others. Nothing here is quite done. I also want you to know that the idea is not for us to become colorblind, where we don't see race or color. The idea is that we see it and we recognize each person as an individual, each person as truly important. We can help fight racial inequity, which is like inequality for each person in that race, by recognizing how it is that they might be treated because of their race. If we are anti-racist, it means that we see people as individuals, not as part of just their race. I hope that each of you, in your experience, has felt that you've been treated as an individual in our class, in our school. And if you haven't, I hope that things change so that you will. I love you all so much.